Welcome to DMOP Garage. We are working on the 54 barn door single cab, and last week's episode you would have seen that we started playing around with the side panels. That one's actually finished. We've just put some phosphoric acid on it. I'll tell you what, I'm putting phosphoric acid on my food at night, the ways things are going around here. Anyway, we've got onto this one here now. This one's just got a few little holes that we've plugged up, just using this little tool here. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this. This is actually copper, and you put it behind a hole and just basically put the MIG welder straight over it, pop it off, and then weld it both sides and call it good. So it's a great little tool, that. I use that a lot. Or you can just use a hunk of copper if you've got it, smash it flat with a hammer and go for it. This one here, we've got a sandblast. We've got the bottom part here to still repair. So we're going to add a piece into this. And we also need to just finalise this corner that's going to fold over. We want to get that all nice and straight and clean it up and make it look as good as the last one. So it's all happening. We've got more panels coming. This one's just sitting here for now. It's not I've just wanted to place it in position to see. One of the big issues I've got is because this single cab was complete, well, not completely, but a lot of it was pulled apart when we got it. I don't know a lot of measurements, and it's going to be a bit of trial and error. Once we do have the floors done, we're going to have to start working on the B-pillars and that back window area, because that's going to be the next thing that has to get welded in. And we need to know the height of that, and we need to know this bulkhead, does it rest onto the top hat? Or does, where's the height? So there's going to be a little bit of nutting out measurements because we don't really have exact points. Now, I do have the other single cab to take some measurements off, but it is a later model one, so I don't know if it's going to be 100% or not. Time will tell, I suppose. Anyway, let's continue. Let's get into this thing here and get this one fixed up. So that's what we're going to take off, and then we have to we probably need to work out exactly where the bottom of this, we can leave it longer I suppose and trim it off later. Alright, we'll chop this out, start working on putting it back in again. There we go, guys. After a good full day's work, we've got this one finished as well, and we've just put the rust conversion on there. And yeah, it's funny how this one's actually turned a little bit green, which is kind of interesting. I went back over this section. It was quite pitted, and even that one is quite pitted as well. Look, it's solid now, so all the holes are all welded up in it, and we are good to go. So they're kind of just clamped in position to where I think they're going to go. Again, we're going to have to get some measurements to make sure this is all good, but we do have the bits of flooring. I can show you here. These are the Gerson panels, and you can see here that's obviously going to marry up something like that. We're looking schmicko. So I've just given the floor another big sweep. It's amazing how much dust you get, grinding dust and stuff that you get in here. It's just out of control is what it is. All right, let's keep moving forward. Righto, so it's the next morning and it's freezing cold. Come on, heater, warm up please. These have all dried, so we can move on now. They can be stored away for a second. We're moving on to the rear jacking points, and you can see here I've just used a beam on top to make sure we're level where the floor's going to be meeting, but that's ready to get welded in, and we can weld it from the inside, and same with the one on the other side too. That one's ready to get welded in as well. So we'll fire up the welder. You can see that's where it kind of lives, and then of course you've got these. This is just an off-cut piece, but this is going to be living on the outside like that, which runs right along nice and level there, which is good. So let's buzz these ones. We've got the front one still to put in as well. Okay, so we're going to pack this in here. So these ones are all welded in. I've also welded in the front ones as well. You can see here that's all done. So basically the floor just goes straight on top, and then you weld it from the bottom of those tabs later on. Just sort of get them in now. Now the I-beams, I've just rust treated those because they had a little bit of surface rust on them, so we'll let them do their thing. The next thing we're going to do now is get this front valance mounted, and it unfortunately means I've got to move these mounts because I've bolted them in the front bolt, we're going to have to move them to this back one because the valance actually has to come underneath the rail here. So luckily these, I've only just welded them on the top and a tack on the side, so I can just move those over to here. So we'll do that now. We'll just take this out, move it across, then we can start trial fitting the front valance on it. All right, get cracking. Righto, some more progress. We've relocated that bracket and rebolted into the chassis rail here. Now I did have to do a little bit of porta powering. The end of the chassis rails, just this last section here, had actually bowed in about probably 10 mil, something like that. Anyway, we had to bend it back out again to get them back to 74, but it's ready to go. We've got the valance on. I've drilled where my spot welds are going to be, just here, up on top here, up on top here, and then this little piece gets welded onto the end of this. Now I've got to do some final measurements. Obviously this part's critical, getting it right. It's got to be square because the floor's got to go on top, and then your A pillars are coming up off here. So this part's got to be pretty damn schmicko. So it's looking good. I've also just double checked the chassis rail inside here so that we can line up where our bumper bar brackets are going to be coming out. You can see there that is perfectly flush with the slot on both sides. So just double check this one again. Yep, same deal there. So that's perfect as well. So I think where it is now is where it's going to go, but I won't weld it in yet. I think we still need to do some more measurements down the track. So let's keep moving along. Okay, next thing on the agenda today is welding the I-beams in. Now I've got some measurements and we have to just move these in position to where they need to go. I've obviously got the rod running through the center of them so they can't move. First one's ready to go. 340 from the front, bang on. We can tack that one into position. Let's get the welder. We're just going to have a look at our measurements quickly. Second one is 640. $940. Okay, we can fully weld these suckers along the top. And a little bit of copper spray on top of them because we're going to be obviously welding the floor on top here, so a little bit of copper spray. But anyway, they're all welded in now and everything's aligned nicely. We're going to get some clecos on this back bulkhead. You can see where I've just made a mark on here, and we're just going to run a couple of clecos here and bolt it like that together for now. I'm not going to weld it yet because I don't know this height, and this is one of my issues for now. We're just going to have to cleco it in position, and I need to try to get some measurements because this can go up and down 4 or 5 mil. So, and that's going to dictate, I think, with the B pillars over on that section over there. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, this part here, we're going to have to start restoring this because you can see is pretty bad. The top's all rotten here. It's rotten along the top edge here. Rotten in the corner there. We've got to sandblast it or at least strip the paint off it. And then we're going to have to rebuild these corners down here because they're all shagged as well. A lot of work in this piece here. So that might be next because I think we need to get this in position next before we continue on the rest of it. So yeah, let's keep moving. So one of the next things, we've just done a bit of a fit out here. We've got to make our little sections now that go on the end of the valance so that we can get some measurements so that we can actually weld it in properly. So I've got some plans from Stan from the Nova Scotia barndoor build again. Go and check out his channel and subscribe if you haven't. He's almost at 1,000, so we've got to get him up there. Now, this is what I've downloaded. This is a 1:1 scale piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to trace that out, and then we're going to bend it where all these little folds are, and that will give us our 2 pieces that go on the end of the valance. So yeah, let's get this sucker cut out and do some bending. All right, there we go. They are put together. I had to do some relief cuts along these lips here because they've got a bit of a curve to them, so yeah, no shrinker. I did drill some plug holes in this one, and then I realised I'm going to be able to use the spot welder, so no holes in that one. Now, I'll show you where they go. They worked out perfect, actually. Came up excelente. Now, where they go is like this. So that sits in there like that, and it actually gets welded, spot welded straight to that. So bloody perfect fit. I mean, look at that. Gotta love that. And then this one goes over on this side. Same thing again. So what we're going to do is clamp these on, and then we can spot weld these to it. Now obviously there's adjustments this way and backwards and forwards, and so I've got to get some measurements now to know exactly where these go. Let's get them put in position. Okay guys, so we've got a little bit more progress done. Again, thanks to Stan's plans. We've got some dimensions and we've got some measurements just to double check here. You can see there to make sure we've got the valance squared, centered, and the right gaps. So we're looking good right now where it is. You can see here I've got it ready for plug welding here, and on the top up here. We have correct distances between the tips across, and also the distance from here back to here. So yeah, I think it's all looking really good. Obviously our A-pillars are going to be running up through here, and I think we're good to go. We've got a center point on our valance right here, and that runs through to the center point here on the middle. So I think this is ready to get welded in. I don't see any other issues, so we might get smashing into it. Righto, let's start doing some plug weld. One of the next things we are focusing on is just putting our tubes for the handbrake cable, clutch cable, accelerator cable, heating cables. So this one I've just put in already. This is the clutch cable. Now obviously being right-hand drive, it's coming from that corner, and then it has to come into the middle and then go straight through. We've got our little piece sticking out the end for the clutch. These will just be welded straight to the I-beam, just tacked, and that is that. That one's finished. The next two I'm going to put in are the handbrake cables. They actually come through these holes here, and they're going to, on either side, I think they stick out here about 40 mil, and they're going to run in through underneath, and then end up underneath the bus. So yeah, we'll get those put in now too. So we've got 3 of the 12 mil pipes in. And unfortunately I don't have any 8 mil, which is the thinner stuff. I've got to try to find a supplier. Seems to be a bit of an odd size for people to carry, but at least these 3 are in. I haven't welded anything. I've got to make a couple of standoff brackets that just live under this I-beam here that weld onto the 2 handbrake ones. It is pissing down outside, I tell you. I've almost done for the evening, and we'll be back into it tomorrow. We've got a few more things. We're waiting for another batch of panels to come, and you know, now that this is all finalised at the front, we actually need the rest of the A-pillars and all this front section, and we also probably next actually is the B pillars. All this stuff here, we've got to go and fix this up now. So that's going to be a lot of work in these in this section. So yeah, let's keep moving along.
A few moments later.
Well, we're working on freeing up these guys. They're a bit fused up. I've put a bit of heat on them, a little bit of WD-40. Woo! Woo! Steam away, baby. There we go. That was fused shut, that one. And we also need to try to get out the semaphore. Now, half of it's broken. So we're going to have to try to get in here and get to the... Yeah, I think the whole mechanism is shagged in there. We'll see how we can go getting it out. But at least this is freed up. Alright, let me grab a torch and I'll see if I can get inside there. Righto guys, so we've got this out. It's not really in the best condition, unfortunately. I think the piston's pretty much seized up inside, but we'll try and pull it apart and see if we can get it fixed. You can buy replacement lenses. Yeah, look, it's not looking fantastic, but anyway, we'll try and get the other one out and see how we go with the other side. Let's do it. Okay, let's try and get this out. Out. Yeah. Getting them out can be tricky. Done. Oh, this one's nice. I think this is actually, yeah, that's working. Little pistons going up and down inside, and there's our, you see the little lever, the little brass prong going in and out. This one's definitely restorable. The other one we're not sure about. Bloody unreal. That's great. Okay, one more part off. All right, we're doing a little bit of burning off the paint and a scraper. This actually works really well. Alright, so that's just sort of try to get the bulk. I mean, there's so many layers of paint on here. You don't want to obviously keep the heat in a big long panel because you'll warp it, but something like this is fine. Just to take as much as I can get off, and then I'll use the coral wheel for the rest of it. Let's flip her over and do the other side. Alright, I think that'll do it for now, and the rest of it we'll tackle with the flap wheel, and might even do a bit of sandblasting on it. I'll just have to set up the one outside. Okay guys, we're going to start trying to repair up all this. Just cut these rust areas here out and we'll put some new metal in it, and then we're going to start moving further down the pillar. There's a lot of work on this panel here, so let's chop this guy out quickly. We'll go and transfer these over to some new metal. Okie dokie, we have our little pieces. These are ready to get welded in like that. Put a bit of copper spray on them. I have put some rust treatment inside the cavity in here, so we've got to let that do its thing, so we're not going to weld them in just yet. We need to start working on both of these sides. You can see over here I've just put some rust treatment along this. This was all bare metal from the factory, obviously that you've got the bulkhead that goes behind that, but I've gone and put rust converter on that too, and obviously inside in here as well. But yeah, we've got to rebuild all these. Now I only have one skin, so I'm going to have to try and copy it. I've got to make this part here, and again I don't have a shrinker, so I'm going to have to get creative in the way I make this curve to get that to marry or follow that curve exactly. So this part here goes on there like that, so at least we can use that. But we have to do, you can see in there's a lot more a lot more rust that we've got to deal with, so a little bit at a time we'll get it done. It's just going to take time, that's it. All right, let's keep moving. So we're going to make this piece. We're just going to have to do little relief cuts and then weld it back up again to get the curve, because I don't have a shrinker. But you know, down the track I'll probably get one. But for now, I've just cut that piece out. I've got my dimensions written down here where the angles are going to be. We're going to make one fold now, which is our 13 for a scribe line. And I can add a little bit extra on here. It doesn't have to be 100% precise. Alright, we're going to take that to the vise and bend this over. Okay, a little bit more progress, guys. You can see what I've done here. It's definitely a ghetto way of doing it, but it will work. I've just done all these little relief cuts. I've clamped it to our original piece so that we've got the profile right, and now all I can do is come across here, tackle these, and then fill them in, grind them back, and we've got ourselves a panel. Let's get it done. All right, fellas. Well, there we go. There's our panel made up. And, you know, it's a little bit rough on the corners here, but once it's all welded in, it's going to look exactly the same as that one. I've just left a little bit of extra section at the bottom here because I'm not sure exactly, this one here has been cut, so I've just added that much extra. So we'll work that out once we've got it all welded in, but yeah, it came up pretty good. Nice little curve to it. Should be fine. All right, let's keep moving along. So a little bit more progress. You can see we've gone and chopped out that section. We want to try to save this part here because it's got that pressing in it that we don't want to have to try to remake that one. Here's the new part that I made, and you can see it's going to live basically like that. And that'll get spot welded on this section here and then welded across there. But of course, now what we have to do before I can weld this in, we've got to rebuild this bottom piece as well, and then obviously patch up. Yeah, man, there's a ton of work here. So look, yeah, it's going to be fiddly. The same. The other side's pretty much exactly the same. What I have noticed is there's a couple of cut marks on the sides which will marry up to this here. So I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get our heights correct now just by looking at what we've got. And also, once the side sill pieces go on, these are the old ones, which we're not going to use because they're just too bent up. That side sill basically sits like this. Sits in there like that. Then what happens is this part of the B-pillar actually marries up to that right there like that. So that'll actually give us a point of reference as well. So, yeah, look. It's all happening. It's just time. And I think it's dinner time for me. I've got to go. I'll catch you in another episode when we continue on the 54. We'll see you then. Phew.